We here at I Dream of Indie are always talking about our ongoing battle against the echo chamber. And today, I'm the ex-hardcore gamer, and I'm going to continue that battle with a game that unfortunately has a name that's very similar, but thankfully is very good and is called Echo Generation. Echo Generation is a turn-based adventure game about a gang of kids investigating supernatural occurrences while battling monsters and mechs to save their small town. After selecting your character that you're going to play as for your adventure, the story will remain the same no matter what, and that is you're going to come out of your room and your mom's going to yell at you that your sister and you need to go outside and play. Sounds simple enough, but you know it's not going to be that easy. It may continue on where you think that you're just going to be a kid with your tag-along sister trying to make a movie and just hang out with your friends, but soon you're going to find a crashed spaceship and there's going to be just weird creatures everywhere, and even the other characters you run into are just going to do bizarre things. Set in the 1990s, it very much has an Earthbound meets Stranger Things vibe. You're going to have direct control over your character, which you get to name, while the other people in your party follow along. This is very much an adventure game where you're going to be doing a lot of exploring and finding items that will be used for various things throughout the game. You'll find that as you meet a lot of the wacky cast of characters in this game, that they're all going to need certain items from you at some point or another. It rarely feels like the classic point-and-click graphic adventure games, but it's more along the lines of you need to give somebody item A so that they'll give you item B, which allows you to go into a new area. And in typical adventure game fashion, you're going to find that these new areas will give you an item that you have to go back to an area you've already been to use it, and you just keep circling around these areas trying to solve new puzzles. I feel like I might be sounding a little harsh on the game, and I really don't mean it that way. It's not as monotonous as it sounds. On top of that, to help break things up, there is a funny story that unfolds as you play that I did find very entertaining, and there are turn-based battles. As somebody who's not a fan of playing traditional Japanese RPGs, this did have me a little bit worried at first. But I'm happy to say that this game gives each attack its own unique mechanic on how you operate it. So instead of having the traditional hit attack, press the enemy, and watch an animation, they're going to have different mechanics like press A when the light lights up, or wait for 3 lights before they go, or there's a cursor that you have to move into an aimer for it to hit right. Different things like that go for both attacks and defense. And before you worry and think that it's going to be less about the adventure and more about the battles and become a grind fest, this game actually doesn't let you grind all that much. Usually what will happen is there might be some areas where you'll be able to fight an enemy multiple times, but after you do it about 3 or 4 times, that enemy wants nothing to do with you anymore, so you don't even have the option to fight them again. It's also one of those games where the enemies are seen at first, so when you are playing the game, you're only going to do the battles if you actually want to, and then it's not until later that they start to get a little bit more randomized. So obviously these battles will make you level up so that you get stronger. Each level that you go up, you can pick which stat you want to boost up from there, and you can also find comic books along the way that give you more special abilities to use during the battles. This is not a game that starts you off with a ton of tutorials or anything, but the way that the game flows and the way the logic is in the game, you figure it out pretty quickly, and I never really felt stuck while I was progressing through. You pretty much always know something that you need to do next that might get you to another point. It might be 6 somethings that you know that you need to do, but you'll at least be able to do one of them to carry on. The controls are pretty straightforward and simple, where you have the left analog stick to move, the A button does the actions, and the B button is run. That's pretty much all you need to know, other than maybe start to pull up the menu. Being developed by Coco Cucumber, it may be no surprise to you that the game has a very similar voxel look to their previous game, Riverbond. I know not everybody is a fan of voxel graphics, and this isn't going to change your mind, but I felt like that they were very well done and had some cool animations so you could understand what was going on in this world. One thing I wasn't as much of a fan of, though, is it does use a lot of a camera blur and focus type effect to make it more like a movie, but I felt like it was way overdone. This voxel style also makes it a very easy to run game. On my RTX 2060, I was able to run it at well over 100 frames per second consistently at the 2K resolution, although being the Windows 10 version, there weren't a whole lot of graphical options. This is one of those Windows 10 games that will also give you the Xbox version, and it uses smart delivery, so if you have the Xbox One, One X, or Series S and X, it knows which version for you to download. I played it on my Xbox Series X and was able to say that it looked and ran pretty much close to what it was doing on my PC. The music in Echo Generation is a bit of a mixed bag and kind of all over the place. You'll go from a battle and it sounds like some 16-bit video game music, and then all of a sudden some synthwave music kicks in and you think you're watching an 80s movie. Set aside the fact that it takes place in the 90s, so having 80s synthwave seems a bit outdated, so to speak. You also have the fact that it's just very jarring to go from two very different distinct styles in a matter of seconds. When the music is good, it's good, but then it just switches up to something else, or maybe you get just a very small loop that's only 15 to 20 seconds. So yes, the game has its flaws, but I had a lot of fun playing it, and I think that you will too if you're a big fan of adventure games, especially fans of something like Earthbound. It's not going to be for everybody with its graphical style and some of its pacing issues, but for those that can get by those flaws, they're going to find that there's going to be a semi-well polished game that they can have a lot of enjoyment with. So are you a part of the Echo generation, or are you a part of the Echo Chamber? We know who isn't a part of the Echo Chamber, and that's our indie warriors. Mitchell Hall, Bunny, Kevilo, Bill T, Christian Cruz, Chris Jackson, Nathan Moore, Peach, Adriana Amato, CJR, PSC, C Coil, Skeptism, Jen Rose, Jesse, CPM, Julian Kolbus, JRS the 8th, Ray Lynn, and Marky Mint. Thank you very much for everything that you do to support us here at I Dream of Indie and indie gaming in general. If you have not already joined and you'd like to become an indie warrior, all the information is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, enjoy gaming.